In Game 1 of the ALDS, Yordan Álvarez stepped up to the plate in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs and the Astros trailing the Mariners by a score of 7-5. You know what happened next. Scott Service pulled a Dave Roberts and brought in Robbie Ray to get the lefty-lefty matchup after Sewald failed to close it out. And Yordan Álvarez did what he could have been doing for the Dodgers if Josh Fields didn't exist. But was it the most clutch play in postseason baseball history? And did Yordan just have the greatest playoff game for a position player? Well, Mike Petriello makes a very strong argument for this on MLB.com, which I'll link down below. I should note that a lot of the following stats come from his research, not mine. I just read his article and thought, hey, this would be cool in a visual format, but all credit goes to Mike Petriello. Win expectancy, as defined by Baseball Reference, takes into account the inning, score, and base out situation to estimate a team's chances of winning a particular ballgame. WPA, win probability added, sums up the net win expectancy at the start of a play and the end of that play, and it can go up and down, positive or negative, depending on the outcome. For example, a strikeout in this scenario, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, trailing by 2 runs, would have produced a negative WPA and a win expectancy of 0% for Houston, because the game would have been over. Obviously, that didn't happen. When Paul Sewald struck out Jose Altuve 2 batters earlier with a run on first and 1 out, Seattle's win expectancy shot up to 96%, meaning there was only a 4% chance that Houston would win that game. When Jeremy Pena singled off Sewald, their mathematical chances of winning Game 1 shot up to a mere 9%. Now I say mathematical, but in terms of emotional probability, that probably shot up to 100% in Yordan Álvarez's mind when he saw Robbie Ray come out of the bullpen, as the Astros had teed off Ray all season long to the tune of a 1.374 OPS in 59 plate appearances. So Ray comes in and throws a first pitch fastball, middle away, that Yordan is all over. Instead of countering with a slider on that same plane, the slider that single-handedly won Ray the Cy Young Award in 2021 and a $150 million contract this past offseason, Ray throws the exact same pitch, a middle-low fastball that Yordan launches into right field, 438 feet away at 117 miles per hour off the bat. From a 9% chance of winning the game at the beginning of the at-bat to a 100% certainty 2 pitches later, Yordan Álvarez generated the most win probability added on a single play in a single postseason game, 91%, with just 1 swing of the bat. More than Cookie Lavagero in Game 7 of the 1947 World Series, more than Brett Phillips and Jimmy Rollins and Kirk Gibson's iconic home run. And as Sarah Langs noted, Álvarez hit the only postseason walk-off homer ever in which his team trailed by 2 runs or more, regardless of outs at the time of this recording. But wait, there's more. Because Álvarez also had the second most impactful play in this game, measured by 15% WPA when he brought in 2 runs on a 3rd inning double to make the game 4-2 Seattle. He also had another hit in the game to cancel out the 2 outs he made. Since this accounts for the net negative WPA that his teammates produced, you get a total win probability added of 105% from Yordan Álvarez in one single game. As you can imagine, by this metric, this is also the most valuable postseason game from a position player in history, ahead of Steve Garvey, ahead of Kirk Gibson, and even ahead of David Freese's unbelievable Game 6 in 2011. And then there's one more thing. In the top of the 4th, with Houston trailing 6-2 with 2 outs and Eugenio Suarez up to the plate, Yordan Álvarez threw out a very slow Ty France from 197 feet away with his 93.6 mph rocket. Petriello notes that in his current calculations, WPA doesn't account for defensive plays, but he does point out that had France scored on that play, things could have played out much differently in terms of how both managers would have used their bullpens. So had Yordan not come up with this cannon of a throw, it's not guaranteed that this new sequence of events would have led to Yordan Álvarez coming up to the plate in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 on, 2 outs, and down by 2 runs. In other words, without this play, Yordan might not have had the chance to make postseason history. Do keep in mind that this video isn't meant to disparage the other incredible postseason performances we've seen in our great sport. An important caveat to all this is that this iteration of WPA only measures single moments in one single game, without taking into context the postseason round or even if it's the Game 1 versus the Game 5 or 7. There's another stat called Championship Win Probability Added, as well as Championship Leverage Index that does in fact measure this. And as Mike Petriello sums it up, you don't need me or him to tell you that going 3 for 5 with a walk-off home run to help your club come back from a 7-3 deficit is indeed very valuable and possibly even historic. If you're interested in the baseball analytics and StatCast elements of the game, I encourage you to follow Mike Petriello and Sarah Langs. I think they are two of the most independent thinking analysts we have in our game today, or at least more so than the talking heads on MLB Network. And if you enjoy this sort of baseball content and want more videos like this, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to your favorite torta.